So we went over the Yu Hakusho base set and all the teams and what they did. And pretty soon I'm going to be uploading videos based around the Dark Tournament. And so I'm going to go over the transition from the base set to the Dark Tournament and talk about how the game changes and progresses a little. In the beginning, the cards were pretty easy, simple, relatively just, they were all pretty much on an equal level. There were 3 teams that were really bad, and there were 4 teams that were pretty good, giving everything, a form of equality in a sense. Certain teams would have good abilities but shitty characters, and then other teams would have good characters and regular standard abilities, while other teams had good characters and good abilities. But when it progressed into the second set, you can start to see a power creep start to happen. I mean, just take Yoko Kurama, for example. Kurama in the first set was just a horrible card whatsoever, and then Yoko comes out and he becomes one of the main staples of drawing power for Urameshi way into set 6. You can notice stat changes from Toguro, the younger one that is, to a higher stat, like he has 5,000 defense and 4,000 defense in one card, and the next set he goes up to 6,000, and then his attack cost 1 does 9, and you have to discard a card, but stat-wise, this is pretty powerful. Abilities get even more powerful for characters like Chu. Chu had a really good ability to make your opponent have to not really be able to attack if their attack cost 1, and in the second set, for every Ogre Killer attached to you, your opponent's attacks gain minus 2,000, while your attacks gain plus 2,000, or something along those lines. And certain teams just didn't get much of anything. I believe even though Meisho got the ninjas, they still didn't get anything at all, and certain teams just didn't really get much. When it came to the cards were simple, and they weren't too high costing. They were actually really well made in their own sense. And you can notice in a progression of how they're better than they were before. Like, for example, Dr. Ichigaki's control allows you to pay 1 spirit to, while you are Dr. Ichigaki's team, choose a face-up technique or item and discard it, while they come out with another card that if you are using the Ichigaki team bonus, you discard 2 cards, and then you get a bonus if your opponent is some other team, stuff like that. So you'll notice a progression of how cards just seem to just get better in general. So what has changed from base set to Dark Tournament? Well, we get new teams. We get 3 new teams, even though one you actually cannot use, Team Koenma, because he only has, at most, 2 characters on said team, like Botan, which comes in a tournament pack itself, and Koenma himself, which is just not enough. Also, you get another Koenma from a tournament pack, but that's for something else. Then you have Sarayashiki, which starts to use items and gets their own type of style. And then there's Genkai, which is based around when Genkai tried to show Yusuke that things were changing and Sensui was coming, and so they have techniques. So every new team that comes out still has the same thing as they normally would, a new style all of their own. New characters for each team also come out. Some even get a whole new set, like Toguro gets a whole new set. Same with Meisho Ninjas, and Meisho Ninjas just changes all of Team Meisho whatsoever. Like, you'll probably never see another member on Team Meisho again that isn't ninja-based. Maybe 1 or 2, but nothing amazing. Urameshi starts its whole extra deck theme for each set, and the first set you had your 2 themes, and then set 2 comes out and a new theme comes out, just because they're Team Urameshi. All teams got cards that work with them, as well as the introduction of anti-battles via card effects, such as if you're using a card that helps out Team Genkai, it goes against Team Saint Beast for some reason. It's kind of like in Dragon Ball Z, how Red fought Blue and Saiyan was against Namekian and all that good stuff. So what's new? Just a whole bunch of new cards. I mean, teams change places on the bad and good scale. Urameshi becomes more playable, as well as Meisho, although Meisho isn't that much better. Teamless even becomes more of a respectable thing. Lastly, one of the new things that comes out would be the Dark One. The Dark One was a tournament card that only score tournament people could play, and it had 99,000 attack for 10, which that's a lot for a cost, but that's the biggest attack in the entire game. And it makes your opponent The first attack makes your opponent discard a card from their hand because they're confused and there's not enough information on the cards, which is funny because the power creep and errata and stuff like that led to the downfall of the game. And the second attack is you can change a rule of whatever you want because you work for score, and that's your whole whatever you want to do. So you can just attack and you can change the rule to anyone named after you wins the game. So the game changed a bit, but it didn't hit anything too bad along the way because it was the second set. And the third set gets better, and the fourth set just gets better, and it just progresses. And the first set is eventually left in the dust, as it would seem, for how the card game progresses. There's new deck types for each tournament, for each character team as well, so we'll also be going over those.